13 WMAZ Morning starts now.
It is a chilly but nice start to the week, and the first half of the week looks great, but the second half of the week, that's when rain and storms could return. I'll have all the details for you coming up.
And questions still remain after a fire breaks out in Eastman. What we know right now and if there's any danger to you.
The governor's race in Georgia is heating up. The rally happening over the weekend and what a former president's endorsement could mean for one candidate's campaign.
It shows a real spirit of compassion with people. So.
A Macon florist is using the beauty of flowers to raise money for children in Ukraine. In just a few minutes, we'll tell you how far he says just $5 can go. Well, good morning. Happy Monday. Hopefully you had a great weekend. You're looking live over a wonderful start to the day in downtown Macon. The time's 6:31 on this March 28th. I'm Caitlin Heck.
And I'm Wanye Reese. It's a little chilly out there this morning.
Yes, it is definitely chilly out there. All those kids headed back to school after spring break.
Oh, we're going to see them bundled up at the bus stop.
That's right. Yeah. Thankfully, though, at least it's not windy and cold, because that adds a whole different layer and then makes you need a whole extra layer. 47 right now in the city of Macon. We do have a wind out of the west at 5 miles per hour, so it is feeling a couple degrees cooler, but you know that this is definitely an improvement from the weekend where we were experiencing wind gusts 30 to 36 miles per hour in some spots. Area-wide, we're generally in the mid to upper 40s, 46 in Unadilla and in Warner Robins. We're at 49 in Gordon, 46 in Roberta and in Butler, and 45 in Dublin and in Wrightsville. When it comes to dew points, measures the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. They're very, very low. That fire danger still high, so be sure if you are planning on doing any kind of burning outdoors today that you just be very, very careful. In fact, we definitely advise against that. Live radar is quiet, and that's how it'll be all day long today. Lots of sunshine, upper 50s by lunchtime, and we'll top out in the low 70s today. We'll have a warming trend through the first half of the week, but then rain and storms return for the second half. I'll have all those details for you in a few minutes.
Thank you, Courtney. This morning, investigators are trying to figure out what led to a fire at a metal finishing plant in Dodge County.
That's one of 3 headlines we're following for you this morning. Eastman Fire Chief Scotty Witten says it happened around 4 yesterday afternoon at Valence Surface Technologies on Airport Road. He says the plant was closed yesterday and no one was hurt. Witten says crews still do not know the cause of the fire or what chemicals may have caught on fire quite yet, but he says there is no danger to the public this morning.
A person is hurt after a shooting in Washington County over the weekend. The sheriff's office says it happened just after 12:30 yesterday morning in the 700 block of Matthews Road. That's outside of Tennell. Medics airlifted the person shot to a trauma center. The GBI is helping with that investigation.
This week, an evidence hearing is scheduled for the second prison inmate accused of killing 2 Georgian corrections officers nearly 5 years ago. The shootings of officers Curtis Ballou and Christopher Monica happened aboard a prison bus in Putnam County in the summer of 2017. District Attorney T. Wright Barksdale says the hearing for inmate Ricky DeBose is set for tomorrow. He faces felony and malice murder charges. DeBose's legal team has argued that he has an intellectual disability that should take the death penalty off the table. Putnam County Sheriff Howard Sills says a few more hearings are scheduled throughout the month of April. He says jury selection should begin on May the 2nd in Brunswick.
Well, let's catch you up on news from across Georgia, including 3 measures at the state capitol. First up, one that would let parents opt their kids out of public school mask mandates. Senate Bill 514 now heads to Governor Brian Kemp's desk after state lawmakers gave final approval last week. The mask opt-out measure would last for 5 years through the middle of 2027. But lawmakers say that a governor could override it if there is a public health emergency. And now to a bill that would force public schools to respond to challenges of materials that parents consider obscene. It's moving closer to final passage now. The State House voted last week to pass Senate Bill 226. Since the House amended it, it now goes back to the Senate for more consideration. And state lawmakers could be close to finalizing budget plans for next fiscal year. The Georgia Senate passed a budget last week that continues to increase spending on education, health care, and other priorities. The measure would spend $53 billion overall in the fiscal year starting in July. That includes over $30 billion in state tax money and more than $17 billion in federal money. The House passed its own budget proposal earlier this month. Many of the biggest items in the Senate budget show no change, but there are some differences that will need settling before it can get final approval.
The time is now 6:35 a.m. in Georgia election news. As we get closer to the May primary and November election, candidates are trying to gain voter support. Over the weekend, former U.S. Senator David Perdue shared the stage and the spotlight with former President Donald Trump. Now, Trump stopped in Commerce Saturday for a Save America rally to throw his support behind the candidate for governor, along with others running in the May primary. This morning, we're taking a closer look at the governor's race. Our station in Atlanta talked with their political commentator about why Trump may be endorsing Perdue.
Former President Trump is still very upset that Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger didn't try to decertify the election results. And it seems as though he blames them for his election loss in Georgia. So he is endorsing people who have clearly sided with him and against Kemp.
And she added that right now it's also unclear what impact Trump's endorsement will have.
The big question is whether or not Brian Kemp is really that weak. He has incumbency. He's got strong supports. Despite what Donald Trump says, he's not a Republican in name only.
The primary happens May the 24th. The last day to register to vote is going to be on April the 25th. Well, a new jazz lounge and 2 event venues could be coming to town.
Yeah, Macon Biz Planning and Zoning will discuss those and some other potential projects today. Soon you could hear the sweet tunes of saxophones, trumpets, and bass guitar echoing through downtown. An applicant wants to put a jazz lounge around Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. It's at the former spot of Ben's Macon Radiator Shop. The lounge would have food and live music. The application says if Planning and Zoning approves, the lounge could be open by mid to late summer.
Macon could have 2 new spots where you can host baby showers, birthday parties, and class reunions. One of those is on Sheridan Drive. Owen wants to open up her business, Bellhaven, at a spot there. She says Macon needs this because there's, quote, limited affordable options for venues. The application says the space will be available to rent 7 days a week between 8 a.m. and midnight.
Another event location wants to open up on Vineville Avenue. The applicant says the space can hold 50 to 75 people. If approved, the venue would be able to rent every day between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m., but there would be no cooking done on site. Planning and Zoning meets at 1:30 this afternoon. All right, time is 6:37. If you are planning for your week ahead, plan for some good weather.
Yeah,
Yes.
The weather's going to be great, Courtney. I don't think I saw a rain chance until like
Later
on
on
in the work week, right?
That's right. Yeah, not until Thursday.
We'll take it.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially for all those kids on spring break this week.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's going to be warm. It's going to be wonderful. The only thing that they're going to run into is, of course, the pollen,
Yes.
which
Oh,
comes with
yeah.
springtime. We all know, we know pollen. We don't love pollen, but you know, when you have all the flowers come back, you got to have the pollen come with it. It's a trade-off. That's right. So for those of you who are going to be spending some time outdoors, just keep in mind you're probably going to want to have a pack of tissues packed with you, and of course any of your allergy medications that help you, because the tree pollen very high. Grass pollen is high. Now, if you're allergic to any kind of ragweed, that seems to be absent, so you are the lucky ones. I personally am allergic to grass pollen, and I talk about this all the time. It's my left eye. It's the only one that waters. Why? Don't know. It's just the way I am. But yesterday, it started acting up. I spent a lot of time in the yard this weekend, and I definitely felt the impacts of that. And unfortunately, we're not going to have any rain for a few days to help wash that away, so just be sure, brace yourself for that high pollen count as we go through the next few days. Now, the one thing we are getting rid of is the wind. Take a look at the peak wind gusts from the weekend. We started, of course, Friday with the really gusty wind. 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts recorded at the Macon Airport. 36-mile-per-hour wind gusts at the Macon Airport on Saturday, and then Sunday, 30 as well. And if you were out and about, maybe at the Cherry Blossom Festival, just enjoying the beautiful weather, you felt every bit of that 36-mile-per-hour wind gust. I'll tell you, my lips are just so windburned from spending time outdoors on Saturday. But how could you not? The weather was so beautiful despite the wind, all the sunshine. It was wonderful. Now this morning, the wind has calmed down. We do still have a light breeze if you're north of Macon. There's an upper level disturbance to our north, and that's just helping add some extra lift. So a few extra clouds this morning and also just a light breeze. This morning, it is cold out there as well, 43 in the city of Perry. So if you're about to head out the door, like some of these people here on 75 for work, maybe some of you back to school after spring break, hopefully you enjoyed it. You are going to need the jacket for the morning. Area-wide, we're generally in the low to mid 40s, 47 in Macon, 46 in Warner Robins, 49 in Gordon, 42 in Cochran, 45 in Montezuma, 46 in Forsyth, and 45 in Wrightsville. Now here's a look at that upper level disturbance that is to our north. It brought some winter weather to parts of Tennessee this morning, and for us here at home, just a few extra high passing clouds. What these upper level disturbances do is just add a little extra lift in the atmosphere. And speaking of lift, this front to our south that is stalled, that is going to lift to the north over the next couple of days. What is that going to do for us? Help warm us up. Wind will come in out of the south behind this, and of course what's to our south, that warmer air mass that is the Gulf of Mexico. Today though, we still will be warm. We'll see a lot of sunshine. Temperatures will be near 60 come the lunch hour, and then we'll top out in the low 70s today. Overall, really a beautiful afternoon on the way for all of you students who this week you are getting to kick off spring break. Get out and enjoy it. Now over the next couple of days, again, that front's going to lift north, so some of us will be in the 80s tomorrow. All of us will be in the 80s on Wednesday, so really warm and wonderful. And then but come Wednesday, there'll be a different story out to our west. Severe weather threat starting to set up in parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama along this cold front. That severe threat starting to nudge into some of our western counties. However, when it comes to our severe threat, it doesn't necessarily look like a sure bet right now. We're still going to keep an eye on it. Thankfully, the bulk of this front does look to move through in the morning hours, so we don't have a lot of fuel for storms. We're still going to keep an eye on it. It's a little too far out to really get a good handle on it, so we'll keep an eye on Thursday. Friday looks dry, and the weekend models aren't in agreement on rain chances, so we'll keep small rain chances for now. But in the meantime, enjoy all of the sunshine and warm weather over the next few days.